All right, thanks for being here, Kelly.
Yeah, no problem.
So where are you from?
Mostly Colorado Springs, Colorado. I was part of a military family. My dad was in the Air Force, so I traveled around a lot when I was a kid, but I lived in Colorado Springs when I was 12, so I feel like most of my formidable years has been there. Yeah, just went to high school there, a little bit of middle school.
Nice. What was it like growing up in a military family?
It was, I was so young. I guess I was kind of used to moving around and having to change my friend groups every 2 or 3 years, which I think in ways was maybe good for me learning social skills. But it's hard to remember back that far. I think it was always I always wasn't super happy to leave my friends in the neighborhoods that I was in that I called home, but it was kind of was what it was. So it wasn't anything too crazy, I would say. And I'm glad that by the time I was 12, I was able to kind of really stay in one place.
Nice.
Yeah.
So were you there and then you did high school there?
Mhm.
So tell me a little bit about your high school experience. What were you like in high school?
What was I like?
Yeah.
It's definitely a trip pants wear. I was
Nice.
I definitely, went through the phases,
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of us do in high
Absolutely.
school.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was definitely a new metal kid by high
Nice.
school. I think freshman year is when I got into Cradle of Filth and Children of Bodom, and that was kind of the pathway. Because I think 8th grade is also, I guess new metal was more my middle school years, but then by the time I hit freshman year, I was still wearing trip pants because, it was so cool.
And those big baggy
Yeah,
ones?
they're the big baggy
Yeah,
chains
yeah,
and
yeah.
the ball necklace and all that stuff. Yeah.
I had a buddy in high
cool.
school like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, I was kind of just I was a weirdo metal kid all throughout high school for sure. I think, that's when a lot of my musical tastes really formed. It kind of started in middle school with Linkin Park and yeah, and I still, I will still rep for Hybrid Theory. I'll still go back and listen to that record just for nostalgia's sake, I still like it. But yeah, and then middle school is where high school is where I started getting into more of the extreme metal. I remember getting into Behemoth, was a big one, sophomore year or something like that. And I just thought it was the coolest thing. Yeah.
That's awesome. So, did you have a good experience, would you say? For instance, were you a target of bullying for being different or something like that?
No, luckily I wasn't targeted for bullying, really, at least the way that I interpreted my experience. I don't think
That's
it was.
awesome.
Yeah. I think it was, overall, it was a positive experience. Most of my friend groups ended up being outside of my high school. I still had some friends at my school, but that's kind of where I found, my bandmates was, they all went to different high schools and, met them through music. So I just kind of, stayed to myself a lot at high school, even though I did still have, some friends. But overall, it was positive. I did have friends, and I had good relationships and had things that I cared about.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, how did you get into music in the first place?
I was put into music at a young age from my dad. He's a musician as well. He put me into piano lessons when I was, how old was I? 3rd grade. 9? No, 1st grade. Hi. So I started piano lessons when I was in 1st grade, and then I quit when I was in 3rd grade, and my dad was very upset with me. So he was like, you're going to play an instrument. So I decided to play flute, so I started playing flute when I was in 4th grade. And yeah, that's kind of how I started getting into it all, was just getting put into lessons at a very young age, and then doing it in early elementary school.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you remember what your first show was?
My first show?
Yeah.
What was my first show? Oh, the first show? Yeah. Christina Aguilera.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
You're talking my language.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're probably from the same age group. That's
Yeah.
probably why. Everything you're talking about is very nostalgic
You're like, I relate.
to me right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I bet that was really fun, right? She
Yeah.
was probably at the peak of her...
I think so. It might have been the Genie in a Bottle era.
Hell yeah.
I think it was.
That's what I know of it.
Yeah. And I can't remember right now what else she did after that. I mean, obviously a
Yeah.
lot. But yeah, that was my first show. And I still have like a little picture somewhere stuffed away that I took with like a disposable camera. That's her on stage, very very tiny, far away in the background. But yeah, that was the first one. But like first, I guess rock concert was Linkin Park again.
Oh yeah. That's
It
it.
was Linkin Park and POD.
Nice, I remember that band.
Yeah, it was the era. I think
Yeah.
I was.
They had that video where they're all rocking out in the desert or something.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, that was the era. I think I was 12 when I went to that show.
So cool.
And I was very stoked. And I remember saving I bought this pair of pink camouflage pants that I was like, I'm wearing these to the show.
That is cool. I love camo.
Uh-huh.
So what about your first show, like, playing?
Playing.
Yeah.
First show I ever played was like in a rock band sense, because I did like school
Right,
concert
you did
stuff.
it in school.
But
yeah, I kind of meant like in a band.
yeah,
I guess.
yeah, it was with Castigation, so the precursor to Dreadnought, and that was when I was 16, and it was at a place called Union Station in Colorado Springs, and yeah, it was fun. I mean, I was so nervous. It was definitely a weird experience. Like it was fun, but I remember because we were little black metal kids back then, we covered a Carpathian Forest song.
Cool.
And I stopped like right before the solo was supposed to happen. Yeah. So didn't
actually
like train
pretty
wreck,
funny.
but it's just like pretty funny. It's just like adorable first show vibes.
That is super cool.
Yeah, I just
That's a
remember
good
like I
story.
stopped and everybody looked at me and I was like, well, I don't know.
And that was how you guys
And that was
rehearsed it
just
too?
no, like it was just live, like just I don't know,
It
just
was
my
almost
brain.
like stage fright?
Yes, yeah,
Dang. Dang.
yeah, which was.
But
funny.
then you definitely bounced back after that.
Yeah. But I just remember it, being scary, but also very exciting.
So, I mean, as you kept on playing shows, like, when did that nervousness eventually subside?
I don't know. I mean, there's always a little bit of it.
Yeah.
I think still like. I don't know what it is. It's just like it's not like a stage fright, but it's
More
kind of like
a little nervous or anxiety, maybe?
yeah, maybe a little bit of anxiety, but like anticipation of just like wanting to get up and do the thing. I think like waiting to perform is always like the worst part of a show. Like, not that it's bad, because I still love it, but it's always the like, okay, let's just like get there. I just want to do the thing so I can like relax a little bit afterwards. But it's gotten better. Like now I'm definitely like comfortable, but depending on the show, like I'll feel it. I think one memory I have of when I really felt it was when I went out to Roadburn to perform with Sub Rosa. I was doing like session flute with them, and I do remember getting on, because they played the main stage and I just did a flute part on that. I think it was 2017. But I remember walking on the stage, and I think that was the first time I played like a big enough stage where you can't see people outside of your peripheral vision, and that felt that was wild to me. I was like, whoa, I can't see all the crowd. Okay, this is scary. Yeah.
Sick.
So I was there a little bit still, but it's still there's a comfort and a discomfort, I guess.
Have you ever played a show where that little anxiety just wasn't there? Did you ever have a show where you were just like no fear type of feeling?
Yeah, and I think that happens a little more often than not. I don't know, I can't really say like what instance, or if I can remember like a show where I just like wasn't afraid at all. It's just like it does happen. It like depends on the day, you know.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, well let's get into each of your bands, right? Like
Yeah.
Dreadnought's like the.
The one I've
So
been
how
in
did
longer.
it start? And not exact year, but kind of roughly when are we talking about?
I think, when did we start? So, Jordan, Kevin, and I were in Castigation beforehand, and then we formed Dreadnought and Lauren.
And you knew them from high school, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been playing with those two since I was 16.
How did you meet them?
How did I meet them? My high school boyfriend at the time knew the Jordan drummer and was like, oh, they're like looking for someone to join their band. And that's basically how we met, is just through him. Yeah, it's pretty wild. How old am I? I turned 34 soon. So it's been a long time. But we started playing then, and Dreadnought formed, I want to say around 2012, when Lauren joined the band with us, and we knew her from Colorado Springs too. And then, and then that's how it happened. We just our old vocalist of Castigation left, and then we were just wanting to turn it a different direction, and Dreadnought came to happen.
And what were you guys, in that time when you first got together, what were you guys going for?
I think we just wanted to create whatever we wanted. I remember because I had played flute for most of my life and Jordan played saxophone, we just wanted to bring those elements into the project. And at the time I was also really inspired by symphonic metal and folk metal, so I was really excited to hear bands that had those elements in them. So I wanted to bring some of that to it as well. And I think we all just had different influences, and we just wanted to write music that we liked, that we could bring these instruments into. It didn't really start out as we're gonna do this thing. That's just kind of what it turned into.
And then it evolved, I guess. That's rad. Alright, so let's go through a little bit of the discography, maybe the albums, and how would you explain maybe the differences between them a little bit?
Sure. So Life Woven was our first record, and I think sonically it's there is some more of that folk element to it, and it's also kind of when we were first experimenting. I mean, there's one kind of weird jazz song on it called Immolate. That one I listened back, cool. It's really fun. And so that one's more folk, inspired. It all still has the metal inspiration, right? And then we move on to Bridging Realms, and that's definitely, I feel the more 70s prog influence, a little bit more proggy. And then, now I'm testing, what are my albums? Waking Sacred Waves. I feel we were trying to, well, first I'll take a step back, that all of our records are loosely based on Zelda temples, so cool. We kind of pick that theme before each record. So for example, by Awakened Sacred Waves, we were on the water temple, so we were trying to, I think, give it a little bit more flow feeling on that record. And then Emergence was the fire, so we were wanting it to be a little more intense and fiery, if you will.
Wow, that's actually really cool.
Yeah. And then The Endless is our shadow record, so we wanted that to be a little darker. Yeah.
Nice. And then is there another one? What's the next one?
The next one is coming, but I mean, I think it's obvious to Zelda fans what the next one will be, but I like leaving it for
question, you don't want to ruin anything.
It's not that hard to figure out. So, if you played Ocarina of Time and you know the medallions, there's only a couple more options.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you do play keyboard in that one?
No, John and I do guitar.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, guitar and flute and vocals.
Nice.
And then Bleart, I do keys and vocals.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, how do you guys write the songs?
We write all together as a group for the most part, and it's kind of changed over time. Now that John has 2 new members, which is great. We have Ryan and Emily joining us, and so this is going to be our first record that we're writing with them, which is super exciting.
Cool. Well, we're excited.
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. So the writing process, what do we do? Usually, one of us will come up with a riff or an idea.
Do you write riff?
Mm-hmm, yeah. So a lot of the times it'll start, I'll start it with a riff and a vocal idea. It's hard for me to write something on guitar and not sing over it, or, I hear, most of the times when I hear things, I sing them.
This is great. So whenever you're writing it, do you actually practice the vocals when you're writing the riffs too?
Yeah, usually.
That's really cool.
Yeah, usually I just hear, depending on I just hear vocals over it instantly, and that doesn't always end up necessarily being the final vocal on it, but it really does help form an idea. So I'll start a lot with that, and then, or if somebody else has an idea that we kind of start a song with or start working on, after that we'll all work together in practice. We'll bring some ideas that can go after that and how it'll flow. Sometimes we jam. Sometimes one of us will have ooh, I have this exact idea I want to try, and we'll try to try all kinds of things just to see what sounds the best and what works the best with each part. But it really is a collective endeavor. We'll start writing together in practice, and then we'll get to a certain stopping point, and we'll go go home, come up with more ideas, and then come back the next practice. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Well, so how about Bleart? How did that start?
Bleart started, I can't quite say what year it was. It was like 2018 or 19. But JP, the guitar player, reached out to me to do vocals on his demo. Or I guess it's not a demo, but he recorded with Dave Otero, and it was like just his solo project at the time. And so he asked me to do vocals on it, so I did. And then after that, we were like, maybe we could start a band, or like, so he kind of took that on and ended up finding a drummer, finding guitar player, so Mark and Josh, and then we got together a few times. Initially, I was playing bass, and then
Sorry, she's
That's
like,
okay.
I feel like she's snoring, and she's like,
I could hear it over here, yeah.
yeah.
What a sweetie.
Sorry, continue.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, so initially I was playing bass in Bleart, and then I decided, I don't know, I wanted to do something a little different, add a little bit more flavor to it. So then I decided just to play keys in it. And it was fun because I've always wanted to kind of dive into keys a little bit more and piano. So it's been a really nice outlet for that.
So do you just do the keys and vocals at the same time?
Yeah.
Is that hard?
I mean, it is,
Yeah.
but your brain starts to program it. I feel like it's similar to like playing drums.
Whoa.
Because
Can
it's
you play
like
drums?
I dabble. I would not call
Whoa.
myself a drummer, but
Yeah.
I mean, Bleart will have jam sessions on like most practices afterwards, and I'll always run over to the drums and play not great beats, but I can keep tempo and time.
Yeah.
You know, I know a couple pairs,
That's interesting.
but
So
I'm not a
you-
very good drummer at all.
Yeah, nice. So you compare like doing vocals and doing the keyboards to, it's similar to the concentration needed to play drums.
Yeah, in a way. I mean, like
Yeah.
anything that, even with guitar and singing at the same time, I mean, you're a lot of the times doing two different things at different times.
Yeah.
And so you kind of learn, I mean, maybe it's not exactly the same as drums just because I'm not a drummer, but I kind of compare it to it that way
Yeah.
because you have to, like, separate your limbs. It's kind of
Yeah.
similar. Like, you have to really think about, like, what beats, what helps is, like, you think about what beats you're playing at the same time with singing, and then, like, at least for me, that's how it helps, and then you kind of move from there. But, yeah.
Cool. No, that's good. So whenever you write riffs, do the riffs just kind of like pop into your mind, or
Yeah.
do you think like, I'm gonna write a riff that reminds me of this or something like that?
No, it's almost always I'm just, like, playing around on guitar, and it'll just pop into my head that way. Like, I'm just kind of playing, and I hit, like, a couple of notes in a row, and I'm like, oh, I kind of like the way that sounds. And then the brain
Nice.
juices get working, and just goes from there. I mean, sometimes, I've definitely had plenty of times where I'm at work, and I, like, hear melodies in my head, and hear, like, all kinds of, like, parts and whatever, and I'll just take my phone and run out to my car and, like, sing into my phone for a little while.
That is so great. I do that too.
Yeah.
That is so great.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like my creativity hits at a lot of inopportune times, like when it's 1 p.m. and I'm at work. I don't know why.
Exactly.
That's just when my brain's like, oh yeah, all these ideas, and I'm
You know
away
what
from my
happens to me too?
instruments.
When I'm
Really.
at work, that happens.
Yeah.
That's really good. That's really good. So, is it a similar process to writing the songs in Bleart than with the Dreadnought?
It's like a little different. I think, I mean, we all do still write together, but we've kind of come to have like these kind of roles, I guess. Like JP and Mark, usually songs kind of start with them, like with the guitar riffs, and then the vocals will kind of come next. I'll kind of hear like what I'm hearing singing wise over top of their guitars, and then depending on that, that'll help with the arrangement, and then like keys will go over that too. So I would say in that band, I'm definitely like a key arranger, but we all work together to like do the arrangement as well. Which I guess is like in ways similar to Dreadnought, but they are like, I don't know, it's a little different.
Right, yeah, it'll always be different with the different band members. It's like
Yeah.
a different chemistry and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, what about the albums for that band? The
We have,
discography?
yeah, we have 2 records. We have Dreamgriever and we have Silver Pulse that we just came out with this year.
Sweet.
And Dreamgriever is definitely like I mean, both albums are doomy, but Dreamgriever is definitely more, I think, doom. And then we came out with an EP after that was a little more like alt rock. And then Silver Pulse is still like kind of, I don't know, like how do I describe it? It's like ethereal and doomy, but I think I don't want to just put it in a box of doom because it's more than that. Like it's cinematic, melancholic. You know, it was cool to bring in live strings on that record, which was which is like one of my goals for a long time was to like write for a quartet or like bring on outside instruments to come and play. So that was really fulfilling and was cool to do. And I learned a lot too from that process of like how I could better arrange and write next time.
And did you have to like get outside musicians to do that? Like 3 or 4 people? 4
people.
Nice.
Yeah, my dad played on it. He played cello.
Nice, super cool.
Yeah, and then a couple other friends of ours. We had Anthony, Ciara, and Amy.
Nice.
Yeah.
And where can people buy these, that last record and the Dreadnought stuff?
The Dreadnought, you can buy it through our Bandcamp or Profound Lore's website. For Bleart, you can, same thing, Bandcamp or Seeing Red Records website, you can buy it there. And then, you know, it's streaming everywhere. But if you want the records, that's where you get it.
Nice. What about regular merch? Can they buy it from y'all directly?
Yeah, Bandcamp for both.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Alright, next band, Morning Star Delirium.
Ah, yes.
So how did it start and when are we talking roughly?
That started over the pandemic, I believe. Yeah, because it was a remote project. So Clay is a friend of mine, known for a long while, back when I used to play in Stoic Dissension, and he was still playing in Flight of Sleipnir. And he's still in Flight of Sleipnir. But we wanted to start a project in 2020 that was just like kind of electronic, and we're both like really like Ulver, so it was like a very Ulver influenced, and like I love Clay's like electronic music and like what he does with that sound, so I was really excited to work with him on that. And as I'm talking about it, I'm kind of bummed because we haven't been working on it recently. We're just too busy, but hopefully we'll get back to it because we did have a few songs we started working on a little bit last year.
Cool. And so it is still a remote project then?
It is. It's still mostly remote. We did one show with Lycodonon, which was
in Denver?
Yeah.
Nice.
At High Dive. And that was cool. And we do, like, I want to do more shows with that project. It's just, you know, we're adults and too busy.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we have one little EP we put out that's like 4 songs. And I think that came out in 2020 or 2021. That's okay. Yeah. Distracted by the dog.
I know. She's making her appearance on the show for the first time.
Yep.
So I kind of wanted to ask you about like what's it like being a woman in metal, you know, because it seems like it could be a little bit, you know, there might be a bro kind of douchebaggy culture in some areas of metal. Like what was it like being a young woman and, you know?
Sure. I guess I feel like my experience was like, I don't know, pretty positive. Like,
Good.
Yeah, like, I think in any culture, anywhere, you're gonna have douchebags, you know? And so, for the most part, like, the culture that I was a part of was, like, welcoming, and we didn't like, focus too much on, like, on the gender part of it. And I think now, you know, there's so many women and so many, you know, non-binary trans people playing music, like, that it doesn't really matter. I mean, of course, there's still sexism and all that kind of shit everywhere, but I think, for me at least, like, my identity, like, as a woman doesn't really play too much into how I think about music. I mean, obviously I have a feminine voice, like, and I have, like, a female voice, and I do represent as female.
Yeah.
But I don't know, for me, I never, like, really felt that was, like, the I don't know.
The issue?
Yeah. But, I mean, sure, I've always had, you know, I've had people, like, I feel like anyone as a woman that's played music be like, oh, I didn't know you could play a 7-string guitar. Wow, you can really scream. But it's not, but, you know, like, people aren't intending to, I think for the most part, people don't have, like, ill intentions.
Yeah.
You know, it maybe says more about what women are and have been thought of in ways.
Do you get a lot of, or have you ever had any backhanded comments from men like, "Oh, good job for a woman," like that type of thing?
I have had it happen like before in the past once, you know, and I just kind of just like brush it off.
You don't
because,
let
like,
it
what am
affect you?
No, what am I
That's
gonna do?
good.
I mean, maybe that's like, I don't know. Some people could judge that as like, stick it up for yourself, but I don't want to give the energy to them. you know?
That's a really great way of
Like,
thinking
what am I gonna
about it.
say to change their mind? Like, I think it's more of like a prove by just playing, where it's like, yeah, fucking women can play music and like anybody can. It doesn't matter how you identify or what your biology is or any of that stuff. Like anyone can play music and should be accepted for it.
That's really great. I like that.
And even if like someone does want their identity to play a role in the music, that's great too, because it's like everybody's doing music for a different reason, you know.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. So, what advice do you have for new musicians starting a band today?
What advice do I have?
Yeah. Like maybe what good things do you think you accomplished doing the bands that you did, and then what are some things that you would change maybe because it's just different nowadays maybe?
Yeah. I don't know, I would just come back to just like do it because you like to do it and have fun with it. You know, and make sure you know, I guess, like go in with knowing what your goals are, but also don't be disappointed because there's a lot of like, you can't control everything in the music world for one. You can only control you making the music, who you're making it with, and like why you're doing it. So that's like what you need to focus on. But I guess aside from like that philosophical part, like I would say always put good effort into like your production. You know, I think I've learned over the years, like you really want to, if you have the money and you can like afford to make it good, like, you know, production is huge, at least to me, you know. And what else? Practice. Take lessons. I took vocal lessons for a long time. I also, you know, did piano lessons as a kid. I did guitar lessons for a little bit in high school. Like, lessons are awesome and like really help you get better at your instrument and just like explore it more and get more tools in your toolbox, basically. Yeah. And then, yeah, I don't know, just have fun.
Nice. No, that was a really good response. Has the scene changed over time?
I mean, I suppose so. Like, everything's changing, right? Everything's always in flux, you know?
Yeah. In what ways? And in what ways hasn't it changed, I guess?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, I mean, venues, you know, different bands, like new and old bands coming up.
Yeah,
you know.
Do you remember, like, the big local bands that you grew up with here?
Yeah, I'm trying
to
to remember. I mean, I remember, Cephalic Carnage was still a thing back when we started.
What was it called?
Cephalic Carnage.
Oh, yeah,
they were
yeah,
still
yeah,
a thing,
yeah.
I remember. We started playing shows, like my old band, Stoic Dissension, played at, like, Blastomat. Before it was
I played there, I played there.
Yeah, we played there before it was Seventh Circle.
That's crazy. Yeah, I played there also. That's great.
Yeah,
How was it playing there for you? How was it playing?
It was fun. It was fun. I remember it being a good time. Yeah. So, like, I think, and as we're talking about this, I think there was a lot more DIY.
Yeah.
I think years ago when we first started, there were more DIY venues. But maybe it's because I'm older. I'm not, like, as in with, like, the younger generation. And so maybe I don't know about all the, it's probably me leaving the door open.
Oh, no, you're fine. Sorry, keep going.
Oh, you're okay. At least, like, for me, like, I definitely don't go to as many DIY shows, and I'm not as involved in that scene as much anymore, but doesn't mean it doesn't exist just because I don't know about it. But I do think that is something that has changed. A lot of the bands that were playing back then, like in Colorado, have like blown up, you know? You get Primitive Man, the Blood Incantation guys, Chemists, you know, Wayfarer. You're all playing music at the same time, like 10 years ago. And so it's cool. It's cool to see everybody like really now
Maturing.
and touring a lot and playing like big venues and like they're getting paid, you know. I mean,
That's awesome.
yeah, but
I guess that's a good question to ask you.
Yeah.
For musicians that want to make money, do you have any like, recommendations or just like, hey, just do this and don't do this,
I don't know. I don't know if I really even have that much experience with that because it's like we don't make enough money obviously to like not have jobs or like whatever. And I don't even know if any of those bands do either.
Yeah.
I think it's really hard to make money.
Yeah.
I think if you're trying to do music to make money, you should probably do a different genre.
Like do pop or something?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, obviously bands do it,
Yeah.
and people do make money and make it work, and that's awesome that they do. I don't know. I don't think I'm the best person for advice on it.
Right. I can see that.
I don't know. Just be smart. Take the opportunities as they come. I think because like doing things that come on your plate or that you get opportunities for.
I guess
it'll only help.
my question would be: does a lot of the money that your bands make, is it from the merch or is it from online sales or is it
merch is definitely huge.
Yeah.
I think I would think for most bands like merch is definitely one of the biggest ways that a band can make money. I always make the joke that we're just glorified shirt salesmen.
That's actually really good. Yeah. So how many shirt designs do you have when you go on tour?
Like 2 or 3.
Okay.
Maybe, depending. I think Dreadnought's last tour we had quite a few, but yeah, it depends. Like when we toured Europe, we only had 2 shirt designs because we just went a little lighter. It was a shorter tour.
What's your favorite merch that you've done?
I don't know.
Just like
I
a
like
cool
all
shirt.
of them. I like having vinyl.
Oh yeah, vinyl, yeah.
Yeah.
So did you get like a limited edition one with a different color or something?
Mhm. Yeah. Chris he picks the colors for the records when he releases them. So, he puts out a few different variants of the LPs, which is always nice. It's cool to have those. I like colorful vinyl.
Me too.
I'm a sucker.
Me too. What color is the last one?
He did like a black and green marble, and then what else was? Oh, I think there was a splatter as well. It was like a green, black, and yellow splatter. That it matched with the album cover. But I think my favorite one, like my favorite vinyl variant that we did was for Emergence, and it was the red with orange like cloud is what it was called. So it was just like a really pretty, I don't know. It was pretty. I'm like, it was a pretty cloudy thing.
Like a nebula type of thing?
Yeah, like it was, I mean, cloud is what it was called, but it was like, because it wasn't quite like a swirl.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. You just have to get one to see.
Yeah, you have to get
They're
one.
pretty.
That's good, that. Well, I kind of already asked you about this, advice for young women getting into the scene, but you kind of said that it kind of wasn't really as bad, quote unquote, as you would think. You said it was just pretty much like it didn't really matter and you didn't really have a bad time being a woman in the scene, right?
Yeah.
That's
And I think I was just lucky to be surrounded by good people.
Yeah.
But still, for anyone, as I said, just do it. Just do it.
That's awesome. So, in what ways have your musical taste developed over time?
I definitely used to be more of a metalhead. I'm starting to get a little soft.
In what way?
I don't know. I'm just not listening to metal as much as I used to.
Yeah. More pop or classical music? Or?
I mean, yeah. What am I listening to? Well, right now I'm listening to the new Beth Gibbons record. I love her. I love Portishead. But her new record is really, really good. It's like definitely has some like classical elements in it. And like Cocktail Twins. Like I've gotten more into some 80s stuff in general, but like I listen to a lot of Cocktail Twins, Dead Can Dance, like those are some of my favorites. And I do still like listen to metal. Like Oranzi Pazuzu is probably my favorite modern band right now. But yeah, I mean, I used to be in high school, just a straight up black metal, death metal kid for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
What's that last band you mentioned? Ramsey Pazuzu?
Oranzi Pazuzu.
Yeah, what is that?
They're awesome. They are, I don't know how they describe themselves, but they're like a trancey, psychedelic, like metal, like black metal infused metal, I guess. Yeah. So black metal, like trance, like electronic trance, and just psychedelic prog elements. Yeah.
Cool.
Sorry, Ramsey, if I, if I fucked
No, I
up.
thought that was pretty good. Okay, well, let's move on to the Euro tour with Wayfarer.
Yeah.
So how did it go?
Good. It's good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Where did you go?
Went all over. It was like a 10-day tour. Let's see if I can rattle off.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can. Yeah. Well, so it started in Berlin, and then we did Warsaw, and then, oh my god, I'm gonna forget. We did Budapest, we did Zagreb, we did 2 shows in Italy, we did Belgium, 2 shows in Switzerland. God, if I'm forgetting anyone, I'm sorry. We did Brno. So, yeah, it was cool.
That's
it was really
awesome.
cool to see a lot of different areas of Europe in a short amount of time. So that was kind of the most exciting part about it. Like, it's just getting to see places we've never been before.
Awesome. What was can you describe a regular day on tour?
Wake up, eat, drive, play, sleep.
But I guess the driving time is a lot shorter in Europe, huh?
Yeah, it is. It depends on the tour. Every tour depends if you have what your load-in time is. But so the load-ins there were every once in a while a little early. So it's we really don't get to see that much. We don't get to do a lot of sightseeing when we're on the road. We had a couple days off, which was nice. So we had a day off in Italy, which was really cool to explore. But
What did you do in Italy?
we played Treviso and Erba, but on our day off we stayed at Lake Como, and it was
Cool.
nice.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Just to hang out on the lake in the sun and stuff.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. It was really nice. We're all about being in nature, so it was nice to
Same.
do. Yeah, but yeah, I mean,
And then after that?
after that, what did we do? Or just with the tour schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was towards the end of the tour, and we went. Yeah, and then we went to Switzerland, which was probably my favorite part of all tour, was driving through the Alps.
Cool.
That was sick. It was awesome. We didn't even know, but the GPS took us through the peak of the Alps. So we just
Right.
kept
Yeah,
going
tell
up
us
and up
about
and
that.
yeah, we just kept going up and up, and we were like, oh, okay, we are in it now. It was awesome. It was really, really, really pretty
Nice.
and really cool to just be able to drive all the way up and see how big it is. And Colorado, we have mountains here, and they're majestic as well. But it was cool just being in a different
Because it's
mountain
different,
landscape,
right?
'cause
It's
it
a
is
little
different.
different. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
You have any funny stories from tour? That are you want to share?
Oh man, that's a hard question. I feel like my memory just gets blurry over time
When I'm
with
putting you on
touring.
the spot?
Yeah, that too. I mean,
What about best food? Is
best
that easier?
food. What did we eat? I mean, in Europe it was great. We had a lot of good food. A lot of people cook for us.
Oh
before
yeah,
shows,
that
which
was
really
something.
nice, yeah.
How in Europe they take care of bands a lot more, right?
Yeah, in different ways. I mean, in Europe, it's standard for you to get a meal, and
What would they give you guys?
so, I think it was, where were we? It was Brno. We had someone make us a lot of Greek, just a Greek kind of plate, display. Where was it?
Sounds
In
good.
Switzerland, oh my goodness, there was a kitchen in the green room, and these sweet humans made us this, I don't know, you could we'll go into the green room and smell fresh cooking onion. It was
Oh,
amazing
man,
to
that
just
sounds
have
good.
people cooking for you, and it was it's really
so
cool.
good.
So that was really good. Yeah, it's different. I mean, it's still in the U.S., if some people really like to host bands and will take care of you as well, And
The
in Europe,
DIY,
the DIY route, but in Europe it's definitely more standard to have a meal provided, whether that is somebody cooking or you get money to go and get a meal. And that's just with my level band. I'm sure when you're a big band, you get fed all the time.
Yeah. Have you ever had to sign a contract or anything? Like for an album or anything?
Yeah. I'm trying to think.
How was that? Do you have to actually look through it yourself, or do you get like a lawyer to look through it?
The smart thing is to get a lawyer to look through it. Yeah.
Nice. That is a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
So, more broader question, what motivates or influences you?
I think I just like to create, so I don't know what motivates me. Hearing other cool music, like any movies or like any art form that kind of like makes you feel something, like just the craft of things, like seeing how things are put together and made, like with film, for example. Like I like watching the documentaries or the behind the scenes, because I just think it's so cool how much work it takes and what all you need to do to make like certain scenes happen. And so stuff like that is really cool, just seeing what other people make and how other people are being creative. And yeah, it's like kind of a hard question, because I don't know, I just don't think I could not create stuff. And
Yeah, like
I think
it fulfills you as a person.
it just feels good. Like
Yeah.
it's just nice to create.
Right.
Like for instance, I'm like starting to paint in no professional capacity. I'm not starting to, like every once in a while I'll pick up a canvas and a paintbrush and just like draw random stuff, and it feels good. So it's just like it feels good for my brain to just be making stuff and putting stuff out in the world.
I
And
totally
like influential
agree.
and influence-wise also just the beauty of Earth and just how, I don't know, majestic being alive just is.
That's really beautiful. That's really great stuff. So, are there any inspirations from your childhood or adolescence that still like motivate you? I guess you just said it, like the nature and the music.
Yeah, going to shows as a kid was huge for me. Like, I remember when I was like, 15, 16, or I think 16 was the age you had to be to get into venues like the Ogden and Bluebird and whatnot. So I remember in high school, like, just wanting to do anything I could to get up to a show in Denver. And my parents were really nice, and they would let me go, and then there were some times when they wouldn't, and I would get really upset. But, so, such as being a teenager.
What would you do when you would get upset?
I would just, like, fight it. I don't know. I would just get mad. Because I was a good,
But
I was a good student. Like, I
you
got
weren't a
good
bad
grades.
kid though, right?
No, I was a pretty good kid.
Yeah.
I think I was a pretty good kid. I was a pretty goody two shoes. Which is why I would get upset, because I was like, I'm doing good in school. Like, let me go to these shows. But my best friend at the time, her dad would drive us up to Denver to go to shows. So like I remember seeing Children of Bodom once when he drove us up. I think I'm on a Marth show. So really, like, just going to shows at that age was really formidable. I just thought I would always be like in front of the venue 2 hours early, waiting in line, because I wanted to get up front. And yeah, it's pretty fun to think about.
That's good. So, what about like movies or books or anything else you feel worth mentioning, like your favorite movies or books, I guess?
Yeah, I guess like favorite is hard, but I did just finally finish reading Death Note. Are you into manga?
I know it
I don't
because
know
my
how to
old
say
roommate
it.
had the Death Note poster, so I'm familiar with it.
Yeah.
And I do like anime stuff, but I haven't watched that one.
Yeah. I just finished reading it. I watched it a long time ago. I like the book better.
Nice. Usually
it's
that's
a little
the
juicier.
case, right?
I think so. I really do think so. I just think the source material. I'm sure there's examples where like the movie or the show is better, but. Like, I just think reading the book is always better. Like, same thing, like, anime-wise with, like, Attack on Titan. Although the anime does follow it, like, pretty well. Like, super close. But I still like reading that. Berserk, the show, not as much. Had to leave stuff out. And I feel like it also hasn't been done justice on, like, in a TV realm. But, yeah, so I don't know. I like
That's awesome.
manga.
Yeah.
And then movie-wise, I like a lot of, like, I've been getting more into giallo films, or just 70s films. I just really like the style, and the style of Italian films, too. They're just like, I don't know, they just have a vibe. They're, like, kind of, sometimes kind of gothy, but they just have, like, this sensual, sexy, like, but artsy, fashiony vibe that I can't, like, quite describe exactly what it is about that I like.
That's really great.
But in terms of, like, getting into video editing and wanting to make film stuff, like, that era of film is really inspirational. I just like the lighting. It's just like, I don't know, I like the artsy stuff. Like Daughters of Darkness is like an example of a movie from back then that I remember really liking.
Nice. Did you say any books?
Books. That was just the Death Note is what I read recently.
Oh,
Favorite
yes.
books? I don't know.
I thought you were talking about, sorry, yes.
I guess both,
movies
right?
and books, yeah.
No, that was just one that I literally just finished reading.
Nice.
But I don't know. I'm trying to think of what else I've been reading. I haven't been much of a bookworm, but I did read Dune, and it's awesome. And the second Dune movie is sick.
I also love Dune series.
Yeah, I thought the new movies I think were great.
Me too.
And I really liked the first one, but the second one I thought was just like, mwah.
Yeah.
Because I was curious how they were gonna I was really curious how they were going to imagine things out of the book, like especially like the psychedelic sequences and I don't know, just how they were gonna do it. And I thought they did such a good job of making it feel real and dark, and there's just like not a bad shot in that movie either. It's beautiful, and yeah, that.
Would you say that it holds up to the book?
I think so. I think this. Yeah, I think it does. And then I remember when I saw the first one, not the 70s David Lynch one, which is still great in its own way. The first new one I liked, but I think it kind of moved a little quick. And there's stuff that it leaves out because it's just you can't do everything in the film. But the second one I thought was like way better paced. Yeah, but I mean they're still great. I thought they did great.
Yeah. Well, I guess what's the future? What is on the horizon? Like what's about to be coming out musically? Right
now, there's no, I guess, full plans set in motion. We have some like secret plans set in motion.
Ooh, nice.
So things are gonna happen next year, but both bands are writing.
Nice. Right
now, yeah, which feels nice. So we're all kind of done with touring and working on music. Yeah,
awesome.
So we will have some things like happening next year.
Nice.
Things coming out.
So expect announcements next year.
Yeah, I think that's probably the next. Oh, we're playing Decibel Fest.
Cool.
In December
I'll be there.
Yeah.
What is it? It's like December 1st, right? Or
6th.
Oh, okay. 6th and 7th. That's what it is.
6th and 7th or 5th and 6th.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Summit.
Awesome.
Yeah, Summit. So that's show-wise what we have coming up. And then Bleart's doing a show this Friday with Ghost Canyon Fest, which is like a local festival happening at Skylark High Dive at Mutiny.
Awesome. Great. Well, thank you so much for doing the interview.
No problem.
Do you have anything else you want to add?
No.
Okay.
Maybe that Luna's the best dog ever.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Kelly.
You're welcome.